couple of days ago, I saw the movie Cloud Atlas, and what the core of it was about is really that we there's a saying, there's a statement that is made in it, which is says we're all interconnected, and then goes on to say that each act of by each crime and each act of kindness we birth our future, or something to that accord. And what it really really gets at is it's what I've been working on for many years, and it's really what I've often referred to in terms of what I call the compensation mechanism, or what really boils down to what in the East would be called karma. So what we really find here is that reality is not made up of little physical parts, but of a field of polarity, which I've often discussed in terms of the yin and the yang. And it's that field which one would call, which is what the statement refers to in the movie, of that by each crime and each act of kindness we birth our future. That's really the yin and the yang side, and how every act we do is really based on either being yin or yang, and how that has a ripple effect in our lives. Which I've explained very much in terms of the compensation mechanism. So what we're really finding here is a law, the correct word would be an immutable law in reality, in nature, this would really be what nature would be or mean, and where we are always going to be confronted with consequences of our acts. So if we're like extremely yang or lopsided towards the yang side, then the yin side will tend to emerge in our lives and to compensate us. So if we're like too high or too arrogant, then we will fall occur in our lives. And it's been like over about 20 years of looking at people's dreams, in which this immutable law tends to compensate us. And these dreams, what they're really doing, what they really are, is like a glimpse, a window into this field level of reality, which is like the level where everything is interconnected, and how we cannot escape the shadow in our lives. For instance, what we tend to hide will be uncovered, in the sense that the shadow will always emerge in our lives to compensate us. This is really what is meant with the word, the apocalypse. So this is why we are living now in, one could call it in terms of the Maya calendar, the end of cycle, in which everything that has been concealed is going to be coming out in a global level, in the very same way that it at an individual level this happens. And I've seen thousands and thousands of cases at the individual level and at the group level, in which this mechanism operates. It's what is represented in terms of the scales that the Sophia, or the Lady Justice holds in her hand. Is really the law, the true law that is programmed into reality, and of which it's like the field underneath our bodies and our surroundings. And by looking at this, by looking at reality very keenly, in terms of the dreams, I've come to realize that this is the exact same thing that happens outside of the dreams. And that what we're dealing with is a field law, a true law, a law really based on a moral compass, or I also call it the archetypal or the golden compass. So this is why now, at the end of times, at the end of a cycle, a big cycle, what we are witnessing is that everything that has been concealed is coming out, and this is not something that any one individual can do, but this is really what is now, this is really the mechanism of which nature is made up of. We've been to a large degree programmed to look at nature as something inferior or just like blind, but nature, what we call nature, is this law of karma, which in the movie Cloud Atlas is beautifully depicted how this law works beyond one life, really determining what we come back each life to do until we can get balance, if you wish, until we can close achieve closure with between this dilemma, where we learn to, I've recently wrote a lot about it, where we learn to integrate the opposites, integrate the two extremes in our life, the yin and the yang. And it's only when we do that that we, as it were, graduate to a deeper level of reality in which we connect to what one could call the self with a capital S, which would be the equivalent at a global level of a kind of a star planet. The Earth would be, in terms of a collective individual, at its center or core, a star, and we would have left that core in terms of evolution and have been, as it were, put on the outer layers of the onion, but in the center of it we find a star, or as in the individual terms, a self, which would be like a photonic body. And so it's not like we would be like having the earth submitted to our corruption. It's nothing like that. This law, this immutable law, is going to correct all of us, and we can align with that and evolve towards the photonic or the star level. But those of us that remain here, everybody is going to, as it were, be directly encountering this apocalypse, which would be like the uncovering, the unveiling of their personal shadow. And collectively, this is also going to be happening with the planet. This is why all of these things that have been concealed by everybody, including the elites, are coming out. As you were seeing at a massive level, we're seeing the pedophilia scandals and how in the top we find organized sexual abuse of children, and everything of that nature is going to be coming out. And this is why I think that a lot of laws are being put in place, as it were, to, if you wish, try to counteract all of this apocalypse or unveiling of what has been concealed with this immutable law, which is what we would call karma. It's unstoppable, and you will see that, as in the case of an individual, collectively, there will be a compensation, and everything that has been concealed will come out at this end of cycle. Namaste.